After losing everything, she found a reason to stay. The rain came down in sheets that morning, the kind that makes the world feel smaller, pressed close against the windows like it wants to get in. Ayesha sat on the edge of the bare mattress in the one-room apartment she could no longer afford, watching water streak the glass in fast, angry lines. Her phone lay face down beside her, silent now after 3 days of creditors calling, neighbors knocking, and one final message from her mother. "Come home, Beta, please." Home was 400 kilometers away, in a village where the fields stretched flat and endless, where her father still worked the same patch of land that had barely fed them when she was a child. She had left at 19 with a small suitcase, a bus ticket, and the kind of hope that only survives in people who have never really failed. 12 years later, that hope had been replaced by hospital bills, a foreclosure notice taped to the door of the flat she once shared with her husband, and the quiet certainty that she had nothing left to lose. Her husband, Bilal, had died 6 months earlier, not in some dramatic accident, nothing the newspapers would print. Just a sudden pain in his chest while he was laughing at a cricket match on television. One moment he was there, shouting at the screen, the next he was gone, leaving behind a mortgage they could never afford on his salary alone, medical debts from the frantic ambulance ride, and a daughter who still asked every night when Baba was coming back. Zara was 4. She slept now on the thin blanket Ayesha had spread on the floor because the mattress was too lumpy for a child. Her small chest rose and fell in the rhythm of someone who still believed the world was safe. Ayesha envied her that. The landlord had given them until the end of the week. After that, the locks would be changed. Ayesha had sold everything that could be sold: the refrigerator, the television, Bilal's watch, even the gold bangles her mother had given her at her wedding. What remained fit into 2 suitcases and a plastic bag. She had counted the money twice last night, enough for bus tickets back to the village and maybe a month's rent somewhere small and damp if she was lucky. But she couldn't go back, not yet. Not when returning felt like admitting that everything she had tried, the night shifts at the call center, the extra typing work she took home, the endless applications for better jobs, had been for nothing. She had left the village to prove she could be more than a farmer's daughter, to prove she could build something permanent. Now all she had built was debt and grief. She stood up, knees cracking, and walked to the kitchen corner. The gas cylinder was empty. She filled a steel tumbler with the last of the filtered water and carried it back to Zara. The child stirred, eyes opening slowly. "Mama?" "Shh, drink some water." Zara sat up, hair tangled, and took the tumbler with both hands. She drank carefully, as though water were something precious. When she finished, she looked at Ayesha with the serious expression children sometimes wear when they sense things are wrong but don't know the words. "Are we going to Nani's house today?" Ayesha's throat tightened. "Maybe soon." Zara nodded, accepting the maybe the way children accept most adult answers, half believing, half waiting to see what happens next. Ayesha dressed her in the only clean outfit left, a faded pink frock with a tear at the hem that she had never found time to mend. She combed Zara's hair with her fingers, braided it loosely, and tied it with a piece of ribbon salvaged from an old gift wrapping. When she finished, Zara looked almost like any other child going to school. Almost. They left the apartment without looking back. Ayesha locked the door out of habit, even though the key would soon be useless. The stairwell smelled of damp concrete and yesterday's cooking. On the ground floor, Mrs. Sharma from 1002 stood in her doorway, arms crossed. "Are you really leaving?" Ayesha nodded. Mrs. Sharma pressed a small paper packet in her hand. Parathas, still warm, for the child. "Thank you, Auntie." Mrs. Sharma looked at Zara, then back at Ayesha. "If you need a place for a few days." The kindness hurt more than indifference would have. Ayesha shook her head. "We'll manage." Outside, the rain had eased to a drizzle. The street was alive with morning traffic, rickshaws splashing through puddles, schoolchildren under umbrellas, a vegetable vendor shouting prices. Ayesha took Zara's hand and started walking towards the bus stand. Every step felt like surrender. They stopped at a small tea stall halfway there. Ayesha bought one glass of chai and split it between them, dipping pieces of Mrs. Sharma's parathas into the tea until Zara giggled at the sogginess. For a few minutes, the world felt ordinary again. Then Zara pointed across the street. "Mama, look!" On the other side, under a faded blue awning, an old man sat on a low stool painting signs. His brush moved in careful strokes across a wooden board. The sign read in neat white letters, "Help wanted, cleaning, cooking, childcare. Small salary, but room provided." Ayesha stared. The paint was still wet. The old man noticed her looking and waved her over. She hesitated, then crossed the street, Zara trailing behind. "You're looking for work?" the man asked. His voice was gentle, the kind that told stories to grandchildren. Yes, but I have a child." He looked at Zara, smiled. "Good. The woman who needs help has a granddaughter about her age. They get lonely, both of them." Ayesha felt something shift inside her chest, small but real. What kind of work? Keeping house, cooking simple meals, helping the grandmother with her medicines. She can't climb stairs anymore. The granddaughter is 8, needs someone to walk her to school, help with homework, nothing heavy. And the pay? 10,000 a month, food and a room included. Not much, but steady. 10,000. Enough to breathe, enough to stay in the city a little longer, enough to not have to go back with nothing but stories of failure. Ayesha looked down at Zara. The child was watching the old man's brush move across the board, fascinated by the way the white paint covered the dark wood. "Can we see the place?" Ayesha asked. The old man nodded. "It's not far, 2 streets over. I'll take you." They followed him through narrow lanes, past shops opening their shutters, past a mosque where the call to prayer had just begun. The house was old, 2 stories, painted pale yellow with green shutters. A small courtyard held a mango tree and a line of potted plants. The gate creaked when the old man pushed it open. Inside, the air smelled of incense and something baking. An elderly woman sat in a cane chair near the window, knitting. Beside her, a girl with long braids was coloring at a low table. The woman looked up. "You're the one Mr. Qureshi sent?" Ayesha nodded, suddenly shy. "I'm Ami. Everyone calls me that. This is my granddaughter, Sana." She gestured to the girl, who looked up and smiled at Zara. Zara stepped forward. "Do you have colors?" Sana nodded eagerly and pushed her box toward Zara. Within moments, the 2 girls were bent over the same page, sharing crayons. Ami watched them, then turned to Ayesha. "My daughter and son-in-law are in Dubai. They send money, but they can't be here. I need someone who understands children, someone kind." Ayesha swallowed. "I can cook, clean. I used to help my mother with everything in the village." Ami studied her face. "You've been crying." Ayesha hadn't realized it showed. She touched her cheek. "My husband passed away 6 months ago." Ami reached out and took her hand. Her skin was soft, papery. "I'm sorry. Loss changes the shape of a day, doesn't it?" Ayesha nodded, unable to speak. "You can start tomorrow, or today if you want. The room upstairs is ready. It's small, but there's a window." Ayesha looked at Zara, who was watching Sana move her brush across the page, fascinated by the way the white paint covered the dark wood. "I don't have much, just 2 suitcases." "2 suitcases is enough for a new beginning," Ami replied. They moved in that afternoon. The room was indeed small, bare walls, a single bed, a steel cupboard, a ceiling fan that rattled, but the window looked out over the courtyard and the mango tree. When the breeze moved, leaves tapped against the glass like gentle fingers. That first evening, Ayesha cooked dal and rice in Ami's kitchen, while the girls played in the courtyard. Sana showed Zara how to catch falling leaves, and their laughter drifted up through the open window.
Ami sat nearby, giving quiet instructions about spices, her voice steady and patient. When the food was ready, they ate together on the floor of the living room, plates balanced on their laps. It was simple, nothing like the elaborate meals Ayesha once tried to make for Bilal on special days, but it tasted like safety. Night came softly. After the girls were asleep in Sana's room, Zara curled against Sana's side like they knew each other forever. Ayesha helped Ami to bed. The old woman moved slowly, leaning on Ayesha's arm. "You don't have to do everything at once," Ami said, as Ayesha adjusted her pillows. "One day